Good morning, students. Today, our topic of discussion is how to develop a high beta carotene maize through marker-assisted backcross breeding program. So many backcross breeding programs been done very long back for our plant breeders. Now the backcross breeding programs, we are using markers to increase the efficiency or to transfer a specific trait into a elite background. That is the main aim of marker-assisted backcross breeding. So the backcross breeding already you have known about while studying your breeding concepts. Many of you know that how the backcross breeding is done. Now the question is how to apply the markers and how to transfer the desirable trait into a light background. That is the question. So for that, the marker-assisted breeding is one of the important concepts. People now working on many crops. Maize also one of the crop which people regularly practicing the marker-assisted breeding. Okay, when you come into a marker-assisted breeding, you should have some information on that, which trait you are going to work and whether the trait is a complex one or simple one. If the trait is controlled by simple major QTL or simple monogenic trait, and if there is any markers are available, if the markers are very close to the gene of interest, if this information if you have, then it is easy for you to plan your marker-assisted backcross breeding program. Another one more thing, when you want to transfer to elite background, you should fix which variety or which hybrid you want to convert. Because if you convert the line into you added your trait into the particular hybrid or parental lines, it should have direct commercial value. These two things you got to one side you have to choose the trait and the marker. Another side you have to choose which material you are going to use it. Okay. Coming to the example, this case, beta carotene. Beta carotene is one of the important trait. Many people working on biofortification program all over the world. Like rice, we don't have the beta carotene in the rice, though the people transfer the gene from maize or daffodils. They transfer the beta carotene gene into maize. It's a maize from maize and other things to rice, and they develop a golden rice. But one advantage when you go for a maize is maize already have its own natural variability in which there are some lines which have the high beta carotene line. That is the first breakthrough in case of maize. Some of the maize line, temperate maize line, which has been available in Summit, Mexico, there are few lines which have the high beta carotene. So that is the thing. So how they found out which gene it is and how we are going to transfer, that is the discussion today. Okay, when you look on the maize, any crop, when you have to look on when you look for a specific trait, you have to look whole germplasm. So normally maize, this has been evolved from the teosinte. There is a multiple branching and number of branches. Each branch will have multiple cobs. So this is a very BD type, and we have a small cob. The cob size initially started with one single row. Each row we have maybe 5 to 10 kernel. That's all. From that, the people domesticated into a present-day modern corn with more than 14 or 15 rows of kernel, and also each row we have more than 40 kernels. So this much of changes happens during the process of domestication process for the more than 7,000 years. What happened? There are many traits during that. We always look for the yield and some of the trait which consumer want. So people lost some of the natural variation which is present in the maize. It is not happened one day. It is happened more than 5,000-6,000 years of changes. Now the present day maize lack the beta carotene, and also especially when you go to Africa, they mostly use a white maize. Other part of the world also people use mostly yellow maize, and these white maize have no carotenoid available. Even yellow maize have certain amount of carotenoid, but during the process of domestication, we lost the nutritional trait like beta carotene, because beta carotene is a vitamin A. People suffering from vitamin A deficiency, the beta carotene is an important component. So the people want to, even you can eat like carrot or other vegetables which have high carotenoid content, you can supplement in your food. But if you add the carotenoid in your stable food itself, then you are no need of supplement. You cannot take other vegetables or other supplements. So people want to transfer the carotenoid into a stable crop, that is people consuming more frequently like rice, maize, wheat. So by that you can the availability of beta carotene will be no problem. Even the people which vulnerable group which have less affordable for other fruits and vegetables. So the thing is now when you change from the teosinte to present day maize, we lost many traits. One trait is carotenoid. So when you look on the germplasms or other natural resources, we search for carotenoid. There is a possibilities of getting carotenoid. That's why the people transfer the carotenoid gene from this temperate germplasm to the present cultivated. That's what this discussion we are going to talk. Okay. So what is the carotenoid? How the carotenoid been found out? So when you look on the carotenoid biosynthesis pathway, it started from geranyl pyrophosphate and 5-10 synthase, 5-10 desaturase, and finally it end up with lycopene. When lycopene is branching into, make it 2 branches, lycopene beta cyclase, lycopene epsilon cyclase. So these 2 branches, the lycopene epsilon cyclase, which convert the lycopene into alpha carotene, beta cyclase, which convert the lycopene into beta carotene. Then beta carotene, there is 2 branching. So from the alpha carotene to it been converted to zeaxanthin and lutein. There are a lot of many intermediates enzyme which convert that, and finally you end up with the lutein. In this branch, alpha carotene being converted into, beta carotene being converted into beta cryptoxanthin, then cryptoxanthin to zeaxanthin, then anthraxanthin, then viloxanthin, and finally APA. This is the pathway which is existing in maize, which been established in case of maize by many biochemists. So what we are looking on this pathway. And there is a starter from geranyl pyrophosphate to the lycopene and end up with the ABA, this time lutein. So this pathways occur in the maize kernel, maize system. What we are going to see is there is a mutant, the lines which have, there are 2 possibilities by that we can increase the beta carotene. Either you can block this pathway, that is lycopene to alpha carotene, then we can able to increase the flux and increase the amount of synthesis of beta carotene. This is one way. There is a one gene, they identify lycopene epsilon cyclase. When there is a lycopene epsilon cyclase being blocked, pathway blocked, then there is a increased beta carotene. This is the one which have also been studied. Earlier the people use this one also. Then another one pathway, when you block synthesis of beta cryptoxanthin from beta carotene, so the CRTRB1 gene, which been, when it is truncated, when you block the pathway, you can increase the synthesis of beta carotene. That means the conversion of beta carotene to beta cryptoxanthin is reduced, by that increased flux of beta carotene occurs. So this gene, this is the beta carotene structure. So this gene is found out in case of maize during 2000 by Hedges and others. So from that the people start exploiting this particular gene. If you found out this one, then you can easily, if the particular line, this pathway is being truncated because of reduce the synthesis of beta cryptoxanthin, by that increase the beta carotene. Some lines we found out. So that lines now the markers are developed. Those markers, by using the markers, we select the lines and we do the backcast breeding program. So when you want a increased provitamin A, the major component is beta carotene. A small portion of alpha carotene and cryptoxanthin contribute for increased provitamin A. But major component is, if you only increase the beta carotene only, you can able to increase the provitamin A availability in the foodstuffs. Okay. Coming to the first paper is coming during 2010 in the Nature Genetics, where young group, they identified the gene which is responsible for increase the beta carotene. So here what they characterize the gene, the CRTRB1 gene. Indeed, in the gene you can see all exon and introns. When there is a 3'T region, transposable insertion, this region, there are few insertions they call. There is there are either maybe a small insertion of 325 base pair insertion or 1250 base pair bigger insertion. The gene, either if you inserted a small insertion of 525 base pair insertion found, or some accessions, there is a 1250 base pair insertion is there. If this kind of insertion is there, this gene is truncated, then why the synthesis of beta carotene is increased. So if you have no insertion, that is a positive allele. Okay. If there is a small insertion or big insertion, then there is a truncation happens. So this gene already been characterized, and the markers are developed. So whenever you have this kind of insertion, there is a possibilities of increase the beta carotene. Okay. Then we designed the primer for the gene, CRTRB1 gene. They designed the primer for example, they designed one forward primer and two reverse primer to cover the region, whether the insertion is there or not. For example, in this gene, you have there is no insertion at all. That means it produces, when you do PCR with these three primers, if there is no insertion at all, the forward primer and reverse primer work and it produces 543 base pair PCR amplicon in the structure if you use a DNA. So this is having the most of the donors which have high beta carotene, which have 543 base pair allele. Second one, if there is a small insertion of 325 base pair insertion is there, when you use the primer, one forward and reverse primer, then you will get a two kind of product. One is 296 base pair amplicon, another one is 875 base pair amplicon. So if this amplicon is there, if 296 base pair amplicon is there, you can sure that this is having some insertion, that gene been truncated. In then some cases you have some inbred lines if you screen, you have bigger size insertion, that is 1250 base pair bigger size insertions. As we seen in the previous slides, there is maybe a 125 base pair insertion or 325 base pair insertion or 1250 base pair insertion. If there is a small insertion, you have 296 plus 875 base pair. If the big insertion, when you these three primer, when you amplify, you will get 296 plus 1221 base pair amplicon, which is the late amplicon you can see. So what it shows, whenever you screen any inbreds in the maize germplasm, most of the tropical inbreds, you don't have this kind of allele, that is positive allele, that is 500 base pair amplicon. This kind of amplicon you never get, very rarely you will get. So this is the line which usually contain high beta carotene. So the donors, you have to choose this kind of donors. We screened also all our more than 500 lines which is available, tropical maize inbred lines. We don't have only except one lines which we have EOMAIDS 176. Other lines we don't have any positive allele. But the CIMMYT donors, there's when you screen, so initially we started with screening and we couldn't get any positive plants, only one plant that also we ought to confirm later only. So with that, most of the tropical lines which don't have the high beta carotene donors, because all are having either 325 base pair insertion or 12350 or 1250 insertion. So that's why it's all negative allele. We don't get. So okay. So what we do? Then we have to look for other sources. What we also have looked on the northeast, because northeastern region is one of the highly diverse maize lines available. There are a lot of colored corn you can get. So there are orange, yellow, many kind of corns are there. So we worked all the northeastern lines with the CAU in Manipur. So when you look on that, all this, whenever you screen many of the germplasm, either it may be a heterozygote or it may be a negative allele, 296 base pair. We don't get the 543 base pair homozygous line, which is needed for the transfer of beta carotene to our electric hybrid. So when you estimate the carotenoid also, it is the 1 to 4 ppm only. So what we do, these are the maize inbred lines from northeastern. Even though the color is there, color is not directly correlated to, you cannot say that if a color is there, it's have high beta carotene. It's because of the total carotenoid. Maybe viloxanthin, zeaxanthin, other carotenoid may be the reason. So we screened almost all. We could not able to get the high beta carotene line. So what we do is we request the germplasm from CIMMYT, because CIMMYT is one of the biggest, the largest depository of maize germplasm. They have so many accessions, and also they also screen that the CIMMYT germplasm. And those germplasms, IRI New Delhi also, they acquired some of the maize germplasm from the CIMMYT, which have the high beta carotene donor. So one of our collaborators, Vignesh, he worked on they also screened all the CIMMYT lines, and CIMMYT also contributed for the International Harvest Plus program. They donated some of the inbreds which have high beta carotene. Okay, these beta carotene lines are temperate nature, so it cannot be adopted to our conditions. So you have to transfer this high beta carotene allele from the donor to our cultivated types. So this is one of the work with IRI, they also screen tropical inbreds, and they only those donors which have 543 base pair allele, which have high beta carotene. Okay, so now you have the donor. Now you have to select which hybrid, which parental line you have to introduce this beta carotene. By that we can convert our own hybrid into a high beta carotene. Okay, so this is the picture I already explained you. Whenever you have 543 base pair allele, in the high beta carotene. Okay. So what do we do? Whenever you want to transfer a beta carotene into your, you have to select the variety. So what we selected our hybrid, COS6 base hybrid. It is one of the popular high yielding hybrid. In that hybrid, we have two parents. Again, this is the question when you work on cross-pollinated crops. You have to convert both the parental lines. So one parent is UMI 1200, another parent is UMI 1230. So these two parents we have to convert it. So we have started the backcross breeding program with both the inbreds. So again, you have to estimate whether our chosen line have high carotenoid or it's nothing. You have to check. Most of the tropical inbred, I told you, less than 1 ppm of beta carotene. A donor which have 10.5 ppm of beta carotene. This is a HP. It is a CIMIC donor line. We have another donor also, CE477 donor also, which have more than 10 ppm. Okay, we chosen the CIMIC donor, and also the parent which we converted is COS6 female parent and male parent. So we started back crossing. So when we started the back crossing, this is a CIMIC donor which we use for back crossing more than 10 ppm beta carotene, which been crossed with 1200 UMI 1200, one of the parent. Then this is the female parent. So same time we have to cross with the male parent also. So we started in 2015. Then we made a cross. We get F1. So again back crossed with 1200. Then we go for BC F1 back cross 1 F1. Again back crossed with this one. Then we go for BC2 F1. Then again we were back crossed with one more back cross BC3 F1. This is to in order to do pyramiding some other traits, we went up to BC3 F1. But in the BC2 F1 also we self, and finally we isolated some lines. So up to BC2 F1 also you can do, and you can self it and you can isolate the line. So this is the program, any backcross breeding program. Every time you have to backcross, the question is when you do backcrossing, you have to select the line foreground selection, which we call it as. You have to select the positive allele, which is having 543 base pair in the progenies. So when you do backcrossing, every backcross you will get a heterozygous progenies. Another one is look like recurrent parent. That is with regard to foreground marker. That means trait. The beta carotene trait, when you look into that, we have two population backcross you have heterozygote and also the look like recurrent parent. That means it don't have the donor allele. So we always every backcross we select heterozygote which have the beta carotene allele 543 base pair and 296 base pair. This is heterozygote. So after selfing the BC2 F1, if you get a BC2 F2 progenies, in that you will get all homozygous for donor, homozygous for recurrent, heterozygote lines we get. So by using the foreground marker, we select only the homozygous allele. Okay, so by that we make a crosses for both the female parent separately and also male parent separately. So when you do backcrossing, every backcross populations, when you BC1 F1, if you screen that, you will have heterozygote allele and we have homozygous allele for recurrent parent. So we only select the parents which looks like heterozygote because every time we select heterozygote. This is based on the PCR screening and identification of 543 and 296 base pair allele that I already showed you in the previous slide. The heterozygotes which have the 296 base pair allele and 543 base pair allele. If these two are there, then those F1s only selected and backcrossed. So every backcross generation, both this female parent and male parent, you have checked for segregation. So we have I-square test being done. So you have the 1:1, almost 1:1 segregation. Some have little bit deviation. Okay, so always we select heterozygote part. Coming to the BC2 F2, when you self it, after BC2 F1, if you self it, you will get all three kind of progenies. Homozygous for the donor, heterozygote, homozygous for the recurrent parent. So this case, this is regarding foreground marker. This means these plants we will select. Those plants it's homozygous for the donor allele we select it. So those plants, now you get the tribe which been transferred into your elite background. Okay. So whenever if you do transfer, every backcross generation, not only look for the whether your marker, the gene beta carotene gene is present. Because this case, the marker is the gene-based marker. The marker is inside the gene. So whenever the gene is present, your marker showing positive allele. So this is why the foreground selection being done. Every backcross generation, when you do, you have to look on the phenotypes. Every plant type, whether it's every backcross, you are getting recurrent parent genome is getting integrated or not. You have to check every time. If your recurrent parent is not incorporated, then if your plant type will be different one. So every time you have to look the plant type which looks like recurrent parent. That means the co6 parent like Eomyte 1200 and Eomyte 1230. The parent, the selecting every backcross progenies, which looks like your recurrent parent. So this is why when you look on the BC2F2 population, you have all kind of plant types, but you always select the plant type. For example, 50% flowering, it looks like whatever maybe 53 days duration. So you have to select the plant this type, not for other types. So same way for plant height also, you look for plant height which looks like Eomyte 1200. This case, use Eomyte 1200 population. Just flowering, leaf length, tassel length and other characters. Apart from looking for the phenotypes, but also you have to select background recovery. That means every chromosome, you have to look for the SSR markers, which are polymorphic between the parents. And whenever you choose a recurrent parent, whenever do every backcross generation, when you do screen the markers by SSR background marker survey, you have to select the plants which looks like recurrent parent. This case, you look like recurrent parent. That means whenever you do PCR, for example, this case, Eomyte 1200, 230 and CE4, this is the donor parent, this is the recurrent parent. So the progenies, when you select, the progenies should look like a recurrent parent because background we need better like recurrent parent. But foreground, always you look for the whether your gene is present or not. That's why in many cases, the people always talk foreground selection and background selection. Foreground selection, the terminology normally used to select that type of interest. That is we call it as foreground selection. Background selection means the background of the genome, every backcross generation, the background genome is integrated into your background, in the selected progenies you have to check. For that, you have to do the SSR marker screening, that too not one chromosome, at least one chromosome, 10 markers, at least there is 10 linkage groups to at least 100, every 100 markers you have to use it and select the recurrent parent gene. Okay. After selecting, finally you got the BC2F2 progenies which have your donor gene is available, positive allele is there for beta carotene, and also recurrent parent which looks like the plants are look like your original co6 parents. Okay, so now this case you achieved almost, now it is your line is ready. So if the converter lines you want to check it, normally the people go for either BC2F2 or BC3F2. Whether these two, if you rigorous selection you applied in BC1, BC2, then you can easily isolate the progenies in the BC2F2 itself. Or sometimes the recurrent parent is not substituted, recurrent parent genome is not properly substituted. They go for one more backcrossing in order to get the better recovery of recurrent parent genome. So that is the thumb rule. Normally they do go for BC2F2 or BC3F2. Okay. Right. Now you have the stabilized line. This line you want to check whether the trait you already know that it is transferred by using the marker. Now you have to actually check whether these lines have high beta carotene. The original beta carotene I told you there's around 1 ppm in case of parents, 1200 less than 1 ppm. But in the donor we have more than 10 ppm in the donor. So now the progenies, when you look F2 progenies, most of the progenies you have many progenies you have around 10 or 11 ppm of beta carotene. If you're able to get the beta carotene, more percentage increase. So normally, in this case, the progenies which you listed here, around 6 to 7 ppm of beta carotene you got. So some lines we got around 10 ppm of beta carotene. So this been done by using the HPLC. You may be asking the question, why sir in the backcross progeny itself we can select by applying HPLC whether the progeny is having the beta carotene or not. We may be asked the question. Yes, it is possible, but when you are testing the backcross progenies, there is always these progenies are segregating progenies. So when you destroy a sample, that's all, the progenies will be lost. So if you identify any backcross plant, if you test by HPLC, then it is a destructive method. And another thing, if you do that, again this particular progeny, every estimation of HPLC, it is a very time-consuming process because you have to extract the carotenoid first by the solvent extraction. After the extraction, what you have to do, you have to go for HPLC method of estimation. When you go for HPLC, you have to feed the standard. What will be the 10 ppm if you feed the standard, and again later if you feed the sample, then it should, you can compare the HPLC cryptogram. For example, this is the parent 1200, it is very less than 1 ppm. This is the high beta carotene progenies which have around 10 ppm of beta carotene. What it is showing is this have detector which detected 430 nanometer, and when you use the mobile phase and stationary phase, the beta carotene being separated around 25 minutes. If you go for HPLC, this fast performance HPLC, when you use, it is detected until by 25th minute peak. These are all the earlier lutein and other fractions, but the fractions which you are differentiating at the 25th minute, it is the beta carotene fraction. So you can see the peak itself. It is a area of peak is directly converted to, compared to the standard, it converted to the how much beta carotene it is there. It is around 10 ppm you get in the progenies. So what is our ultimate aim? When you have the originally the donor have 10 ppm, now you derived some progenies by backcross. We introduce the gene into that, and the background also looks like now you are recurrent parent. So when you check finally with HPLC, it shows that it's having a high beta carotene. By that your marker-rested backcross breeding work is over. Why you use every time markers? Because every time you have to screen thousands of plants. So every time thousands of plants are screened for the foreground marker. By that you pick the plant, heterozygote, then you backcross it. So during the process, you cannot individually estimate the HPLC, and also it's a destructive method. So every HPLC estimation, it is around more than 5,000 rupees per one sample. Cost is very high because of involving HPLC and acetone, acetonitrate, ethanol, also the costly HPLC solvent. Because of that, the estimation is very costly. So when you isolate finally line by using the markers and your phenotype, finally you check for using the HPLC method. This is what, when you work on the nutritional program, this will be there. So once your line is converted, then this is a Co6 hybrid. Both the parents are converted. Now you make a process between these two parents and finally get a hybrid. It looks like Co6. So now this material is given for the multi-location trial. And when you check the hybrid also, you should have the hybrid should look like Co6 previous hybrid. Only added advantages, you added the beta carotene. So when you check the beta carotene, this beta carotene level is around 9.6 ppm. Beta carotene is microgram per gram. Otherwise, 9.6 microgram per gram or 9.6 ppm. So this is the higher beta carotene compared to the original Co6 hybrid, and this is now being entered in the different comparative trials now in the multi-location trials. So this looks like 100 to 105 days duration. Plant looks like Co6, and also it's having the around 12 tons per hectare yield, and also this is having the high beta carotene. So the advantages is only the introduced right is beta carotene. So again, this whether you can ask another question, whether conventional method of breeding, can you just transfer the beta carotene? No, it is not possible, because every backcross the progenies has to be screened. If you screen the progenies, it is very difficult to do by HPLC because it's a destructive method. You have to destroy the sample. So every progenies, we only use the markers to select the plants which is having the positive allele for the beta carotene. So marker is compulsory needed. So when you do markers, this kind of traits, nutritional traits, and also the complex traits which cannot be done by simple backcrossing by conventional breeding method, the marker-rested breeding is the only way. By that, we can able to transfer the trait of interest to the elite background. So this is the story I want to tell you about how the typical marker-rested breeding program been practiced in case of maize. It's like any crop. Give us example. The marker-rested breeding programs are practiced by using the foreground markers for selecting the trait of interest and background markers for the getting the maximum recovery of recurrent genome. This is the method. Most of the things are followed. since it is the markers, this case, we are selecting the high beta carotene proteins, we have the markers which is inside the gene, that is CRTRB1 gene. Sometimes you have the markers very near to the gene of interest, not exactly on the genes. So that time, when you select the trait of interest, we should have the closest marker, that means less than 1 centimorgan distance, very closest markers. So then only when you select the marker, select the progeny based on the marker, your trait also comes along with that. But when you go for selecting the QTLs when you transfer into the elite background, that is different story, because that is a big region that you have to adopt different kind of methodology. So when your gene is known, and if you have a marker inside the gene, this selection process is same way. But if your genes are known, but the marker is very near to the gene of interest, then the selection of markers, every backcross progenies, the markers, when you select what gene also will come along with that. So for that, there are a lot of example in case of pies available. We'll discuss those things in the later classes. So this class, we seen about how the high beta carotene in maize inbred lines being developed by introducing the carotenoid from the temperate donor, maize donor from CIMMYT. So by that, we developed a new hybrid, which is having the PO6 parents, and it looks like a similar to the PO6 with the high beta carotene. This is what this discussion, today's discussion. Thank you, and we'll move to the next session. Thank you. Bye.